Alright, so we're activated. So it's 10:16, April 25th, and Tuesday. Alright, we're here with Victoria. Victoria, can you tell me your title at the Ventura County Superior Courthouse?
I'm Court Executive Assistant to the CEO, Court Executive Officer.
Okay. And how long have you been in that capacity?
17 years.
And how long you've been an employee at the courthouse?
20 years.
And what's kind of your responsibilities at as the county executive? Or court executive, excuse me, court assistant executive.
Mainly to provide support to all of our executives here, our executive management team, and in addition to that, help with the front desk, help with receiving calls from defendants and claimants and people who need assistance, getting guided through the system, where to go.
Okay.
We deal with walk-in complaints. We deal with a lot of difficult personalities that come in sometimes.
Okay.
So I do a little bit of everything here, whatever is needed of me.
So you said defendant. So if, for example, if an individual was arraigned on a DUI, for example, they can come to this location for assistance with the court legal process? Or?
They can't come for assistance. Usually by the time they get here, they're upset about something.
So it's more of like a complaint. Okay. So
Yeah, I mean, I think probably it's the public.
Okay.
The public that
We
calls.
have a lot of-
So that could be a lot of different kinds of people. People in civil cases. It could be people. It could be defendants to cases,
Attorneys.
but we typically don't get that because they've got the public defender.
Okay, so
you
you handle complaints. Is it complaints? And I don't want to misquote you. So there's complaints of misconduct by or.
Generally, when people come here, they're not happy about the decision that the court has made, usually, or they're not happy about a filing situation.
So you kind of guide them into a direction or where they.
As much as we can. Sometimes
Okay.
we are not able to assist them because they are asking for things that are impossible.
Or like legal advice, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, so you're kind of just a guide at this
We're a
point.
guide. We're really like air traffic controllers. Oh, you need to
We'll
go
direct
here.
you here. Okay,
We'll direct
perfect.
you here.
I just wanted to get an understanding because you mentioned defendant. So is your desk? I came in through this door here. Are you at the front counter?
No.
Okay, so you don't personally interact, or you're not seen by the public when they initially walk in.
Initially, no.
Okay, but if they request you, or there's something that you manage, they would request your assistance.
Well, usually Victoria, if she's here, sometimes when Victoria goes to lunch, I am here and I'm the one that will deal with them. They'll ring the bell and I will come to the
Okay.
front desk. But usually, normally they'll come, they'll see Victoria. Victoria Berber tries to handle as much as she can with
Okay.
them, and sometimes it just escalates to a point where she is not comfortable dealing with them.
Okay.
And then I will try to help
Okay.
or assist.
And do you receive telephone calls as well?
Yes,
Okay. Do you have a direct line, or is it a general line?
direct line.
And is that public information? Is it posted like on the intranet? If we go on the website, is it Victoria or?
No,
Okay, so it's, when you receive phone calls, is it like a rollover phone call, or is it directly to you?
by the time I receive them, they're directly to me, usually transferred to me.
Okay, so
Unless I'm alone at the switchboard.
okay, so if you're at the switchboard, what is the switchboard?
It's where I dial in and pick up calls while she's out to lunch.
Okay, so if somebody had a complaint or an issue, there's a general line, I'm assuming, that they call in. I don't know, what is that number? Do you
It
know?
is 289
Okay,
8900.
and that's open, or that's
That's the
public.
general public.
Correct. Okay, so they can call into this number, the general line, and then say, hey, it's when would it be referred to you?
Well, it could be, are you talking specifically a complaint?
So when would a phone call be directed to Victoria? Say I call in and I have an issue with the ruling. Is it automatically rolled over to Victoria, or?
No.
Okay.
Usually what happens when somebody calls in, and Victoria usually is the first one to handle that call, she will give them general information. If you have a complaint, we request that you put those complaints in writing.
Is there another Victoria?
Yes, Victoria Berber.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, that's, I didn't know if you're talking third.
Yeah, Victoria Berber.
Cause you're.
B1, B2.
Okay.
Yeah, they're both,
Okay, so Victoria Berber,
Yes,
how do you spell her last name?
B-E-R, B-E-R.
Okay. And she works at the front. Is she
Yes.
the lady that I spoke to when I came? Okay. So she'll answer all the phone calls. Okay. Now we're gonna go into, my understanding was you received a series of phone calls from a male individual that may have been disturbing. And I don't wanna put words in your mouth, but do you recall, I should say, receiving phone calls from an individual by the name of Richard English?
Yes.
What was, if you remember, your first interaction with Mr. English?
My first interaction was during this period of time when he started calling within the last few months.
Okay.
I was getting referred, all our staff were sending him to me because at that point, if we would get a caller that would call and start harassing every single person he spoke to and they couldn't help him anymore, they would refer the call to admin.
Okay.
And then we would, again, reiterate if you have something in writing. We're basically trying our last ditch effort to get the person to, if you have a complaint, write in, but some people don't want to
Okay.
do that.
Do you recall when this first contact with him was? General frame? Was it early
Maybe.
was it this year?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, maybe end of the year or earlier this year.
So possibly
Yeah, earlier
December
this year.
22, January 2023?
Yeah.
Okay. And this was a direct call to you after your understanding was there's some harassment possibly, and so it was directed to admin and to your end. Okay. And Richard English, did he identify himself verbally to you, or how did you know him to come to be Richard English?
Oh, he identified himself.
Okay. And the phone call or phone calls, are those recorded?
We have some that were recorded.
Okay, some.
Now, excuse me, the ones where I'm speaking with him,
Yes.
not to my knowledge.
They're not recorded? Okay.
we don't
Yeah.
record.
Okay, so the phone calls are not recorded?
No, they're not
not-
recorded.
Okay.
Recorded
I'm
as a
sorry.
general matter, yeah.
And do you recall ideally what his first complaint was or complaints?
Well, basically every time he called, it was pretty much the same thing. It started, we didn't even know what he was calling about. And he would call and, hi, start off very nice.
Okay.
My name is Richard English. There's a lot of corruption going on in the court. And so as long as you were nice to him and told him what he wanted to hear, he was fine. But then when I would, well, Mr. English, I can't put you through to that person. You'll need to submit your complaint in writing. Well, I've done all that. And then somehow it just, honestly, it's kind of a blur at this point, but it all just, when you tell him, no, that's not how we do it, what's the policy, no matter what we would say, then he will go in to start, oh, so you think you run the court. Oh, and he accused me on many occasions, because I've spoken to him many times, and accused me of, trying to keep him from getting his due access to the courts and
Okay.
how I'm running the court in a conspiracy against him and just crazy stuff.
Okay.
Just crazy stuff.
Do you recall how many times you interacted with him via telephone?
Probably at least 6 or 7.
Okay. And are you aware of how many times Mr. English has called into this office?
A lot. That's
A lot.
all. I don't have an exact
Okay.
number, but it was daily for many months.
Daily for many months? Okay.
And he would call around to all other departments that had nothing to do with his case. Just he would get a hold of somebody and start harassing them.
Okay. So, was there a phone call that, and I'll use this word loosely, was more disturbing than any other?
Yes.
And what phone call was that, if you recall a time frame?
February,
Okay.
he got through again to me, just by way of going through everybody and
Okay.
nobody can take him here. And I think I finally just went on with his usual ramblings, which you can hear a lot of the similar jargon in the ones that were recorded
Okay.
on the machine, on the voicemails.
Okay.
But I just, he would start off nice, and then I said, well, you have to, it was just really repeating myself over and over. If you have a complaint, oh, I'm not gonna write a complaint. And you know what, if that's what you guys wanna do, if you wanna start something here, I'll be ready, and just saying a lot of weird stuff. And then he just starts calling me expletives, and
So, I'll be ready, what did you interpret that to be?
it didn't, he had mentioned in an earlier phone message that we had listened to about, if you guys wanna send someone out with their guns, something to that effect. He has his gun or something. I mean, I honestly can't remember word for word.
That's understandable, yes, no, completely,
But
we
it was
don't have
threatening, and he disturbed me, and that phone call, out of all the phone calls I had dealt with him, that was the phone call that just,
where he mentioned of a possible firearm.
yeah.
Okay,
And then when he started,
and this is him directly speaking to you, or this is a voice message?
he's speaking to me,
This is him, okay, and how did that make you feel?
scared,
Scared? Okay. And,
concerned.
okay, concerned for who?
Everyone, me, myself, and coworkers, and I mean,
Okay.
you just don't know.
And I just wanted to get something clear, so, and maybe I misunderstood. So you spoke to him personally on the phone 6 to 7 times. My understanding was there was 28 or possibly other audio recordings. Are those voice messages that were left for this recording at this office?
No,
Okay.
they were left for others.
And how did those recordings come to be? Was it that you recorded the phone call, or they were left as a voice message?
No, we have a system that on voicemails, you can lift them off of our system if you need to. So we had to have our ITU person pull those.
They were calls to secretaries
Okay.
who have voicemails where you can leave a voicemail.
And to a commissioner.
Okay, so their voicemails, they were not live calls.
They had live calls
There
too.
were
There
live calls as well.
is live calls that are recorded.
Oh, yeah.
Well, are there live calls that are recorded? I don't know.
No, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
No
so let me
live calls were
I just want
recorded.
to get clear. So the recordings that the sheriff's office has obtained are voice messages left on different individuals' telephones, work
Correct.
phones. You personally spoke to Mr. English 6 to 7 times approximately on a live phone call.
Mm-hmm.
In February of this year, you received a phone call or directed. This was an indirect call or directly to your line.
I don't know how it came through. Sometimes
Okay.
they'll just send
Okay.
it to Victoria.
And walk me through again that call in February.
Well, I picked up the call, and you know it's him because he's got a very unique
And
voice.
did he identify himself on this call?
Yeah.
He did.
Oh, he does.
Oh.
Yeah, he identified. This is Richard English here.
Okay.
And I want to know what's going on, Victoria. You're holding up the whole process here. I'm going to report you. And he starts how he's going to report me to agencies and Supreme Court and FBI. And I know people are watching me. And last time, he just rambles. I don't even know where half of it comes from. He goes, last time they sent out a bunch of people with guns, but this time I'll be ready. You know, if they want to start pulling out guns, we can do that. Something to that
That effect. Okay. And that's where you became concerned.
Yes. And I was concerned, and I just, didn't know what to say at that. And at that point, I became really upset.
Okay.
And I just told him, you can't talk to me like this. I'm not going to put up with you anymore. I'm going to release the call. And that's how we usually would handle it. We would let him go and to see if, okay, is he going to be nice today? Is there anything we can possibly do for him? And it never ended up that way. He would just, go on and talk about how corrupt.
This focus on this call here. So you're talking about this phone call.
Yes.
Okay. And how does the phone call end?
I hung up on him.
Okay. Have you spoken to him since that date?
No.
Okay. And how do you feel today?
I'm nervous knowing this man's could be out on the street. I mean, I'm nervous that he has
and I don't mean to, I'm trying to say this correctly, is nervous is kind of like a loose term. Can you go into detail, like what do you mean by nervous?
Well, I'm scared. I mean, I think when I pull up into the driveway every day, you know, I mean, I'm hoping he's still, you know, in jail, but I don't know if he is or not. And if he's not, or if he does get out of jail, he knows where I'm at. He knows, you know, I work right here, and I get out of my car every night. I am really nervous, and I make sure I leave right at 5 o'clock, you know, get to my car. And I think about my kids. I've talked to my husband about it, briefly.
Have you ever seen Mr. English in person or
No.
a photograph? Do you know what he looks like?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think I tried to find him online, but
Just for
to be,
purposes for safety. Okay. After the February phone call, did you report that to somebody?
yes, I spoke with Jacob Holt
Okay.
and Captain Jenkins.
I think it was Hendren then.
Oh, was it Hendren?
Okay. So you spoke to
Jenkins.
the captain of, I think, when in February. I'm not sure if Captain Hendren was still here or not.
No, I think it
It
was.
was a Jenkins.
Yeah, it was Jenkins.
Okay.
And Holt.
And they approached you about it, or had you been reporting
We called them and.
after this particular phone
Yeah,
call?
and so they came up they understood that I went through a phone call and came to ask me what had happened.
What about the previous phone calls? Had that been reported to law enforcement?
No,
Okay, so this particular incident in February led to law enforcement being notified.
yeah, this phone call, because at that point I got scared.
Okay, and the phone calls we do have recorded, those have all been submitted to the sheriff's office?
Yes,
To your understanding, or
Yes.
to your knowledge?
to my knowledge.
Okay. And that interview with Sergeant Holt, did that take place here? At
Yeah, it really.
At the courthouse? I assume?
Yeah, it wasn't really an interview though. It was very informal. It was a
Just
kind of a
sure.
drop by what's going
Kind
on.
of gather information to see what's taking place.
Yes.
Okay. Prior to when these phone calls started in sometime in December 2022, January of 2023, have you heard the name Richard English, or were you familiar with the Richard
I
English?
was, yeah, because there were calls made through, he had called here before.
When you say before, how?
He had called, I just know the name, maybe it was sometime fall later.
Of
No,
2022?
yeah.
And so you had heard, you're previously,
I had heard my coworker speaking with him before the problem started to escalate.
and at that time in fall of 2022, were the phone calls, I don't know, we'll use the word cordial or professional, or were there alarming at that point? If you recall.
They were not alarming at that because we do get a lot of phone calls like that.
Okay.
So we're somewhat used to dealing with difficult people and they're
Okay.
upset. But this particular issue was different.
Okay, so the first interaction, sometime in fall of 2022.
Yeah,
and
and
then
it-
you recall the name Richard English being.
I
brought up.
remember it, yes.
And what context was it that he's calling, or that somebody had just mentioned him, or how?
I heard Victoria on the phone with him, and usually if we have a difficult customer, she'll say, "Can I forward a call to you?"
Okay.
And send it over to me. But in that particular, I just remember him calling earlier on before I was involved with him.
Okay.
And I would hear Victoria having a little bit of difficulty with him, telling him he needs to send his complaint in writing, the usual just standard procedure, and he didn't want to follow it, and every phone call thereafter was exactly the same, from what I understand. And then it escalated, and later on, that's when she started, I need to send this guy to you. I can't help him.
Do you have any questions for me?
No.
Okay. So at this time, I don't have any additional questions. I may have to go back and listen to some of the voice messages. I should say this. Were you ever left a voice message?
Yes.
And do you recall how many?
I have, I think, 2. It's
Okay.
hard to figure out who they went to at one point.
Okay. So you did receive.
Yeah, we could figure out who they, but yeah, he did leave me one time, so.
And then, so first name, and I'm just recapping.
And we still
for
have
myself.
those, yeah,
Okay, and those have been submitted as well?
yes.
Okay. So just to recap, sometime in fall of 2022, you first heard of Mr. Richard English, and sometime in December 22, January 2023, that's when we started receiving multiple phone calls and became more alert, like, hey, who is this individual?
Yes.
And then there's a plethora of phone calls, numerous that are recorded, non-recorded, and you spoke to about 6 or 7 times, but in February of 2023 is when the phone call we went into detail was brought to the attention of law enforcement, a Sergeant Holden, a Captain Jenkins. Okay. I think that's all I have. Do you have anything for me, sir?
No, I was just gonna ask, one of the things that I remember you talking about with respect to that phone call was the anger that was in his voice and the amount of profanity that was used.
Yes, he
Okay.
called me.
So did that refresh your recollection by Mr. Meyer relaying that information to you?
Yes.
Okay. So can you tell me more about that?
Well, as the conversation would go on, I would say, Mr. English, you cannot, treat me like this. I'm not going to listen to you anymore. And then he was like, you're just a raving cunt.
Okay.
And idiot, you're just an idiot. And that's when I got upset.
Did he ever actually threaten you?
No.
Okay. And foul language,
He
please excuse
over
me.
and over with expletives, the C word, F word, bitch.
So, and please excuse my language.
It's okay.
Cunt, fuck, bitch, anything else that you recall?
Just a lot of F words. And
Okay.
just, it's hard. And at one point, you just get so exhausted of the rambling, you almost tune it out.
Okay.
Just waiting for him to finish.
And was it in a normal speaking tone like we're having here?
No.
And how was it?
Well, it would start out, you think you run the court, don't you? Well, you're just a bitch. You don't tell me what to do, and you're just a cunt. And then it just would, and I'm like, you know what? You're not going to talk to me this way. I should have let go of the call, and I didn't, because I was just, I don't know. I was upset.
Okay.
So, I was really upset, and I spoke to Michael about the phone call after.
Okay.
And told him how upset I was.
Understand.
And asked him, should I call security? And that's when we decided. Am I correct in?
I think so, yeah. It's hard to recall exactly what was going on.
I
at the
think I
time
said, here's what
because-
he said. I take this as a threat.
Yeah.
Okay. Understood. Do you have any other questions for me?
No.
Anything?
Is he still in custody?
I believe it's public information. You'd have to.
Look it up. Okay.
Was Justice Perrin at the